Now we're picking up one of the most amazing predictions ever made in human history. It nails the very year and time of Jesus Christ, Messiah. But where we're going to start is with Sarah Jane and kicking off with the story of Daniel the prophet. What was happening?
Yeah, well, now he's over 80 years old.
Yeah.
And so far we've seen that he was in Jerusalem, and Jerusalem got attacked by Iraq, and the city was destroyed, his parents were killed. He survived that, grew up, overcame many things and became very powerful in the city there. And then Iran come in and attack Iraq, and he's involved in that again, but he survives yet again, and he actually becomes a prime minister to the king at the time. So he survives a whole lot of stuff, but when this is happening, he's actually quite sad. You know, he's seen 70 years of Jerusalem hasn't been rebuilt, the temples haven't been rebuilt, his God isn't being worshipped, actually being quite persecuted, and all this stuff's happening. So he's been through a whole lot.
It sounds pretty rough.
Yeah, it was pretty rough, but then we see that there's this vision that he gets where the angel visits him and actually predicts and says that there's going to be further world empires that are going to actually come and do more persecution. And then the second time the angel comes in chapter 9, he actually starts to predict that at the darkest of times, a superhero is going to come. It's going to be the Messiah, the anointed one.
Okay, now this isn't the first time an angel visits Daniel. The angel's name is Gabriel. We met him last week in the prediction last week. Marie, tell us about Gabriel the angel and appearing and...
Yeah, well, Gabriel came and he appeared to Mary, the mother of Jesus, and he actually linked this prophecy with baby Jesus.
Oh, this prophecy of Daniel 9?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so today's prophecy is about the story of Jesus Christ, the life and times of the Messiah. How does it get into it, Ben?
Well, actually, when you look at Daniel chapter 9 as a whole, the first 3/4 of the chapter is actually this big prayer, and it doesn't get to the prophecy till the last bit. Why is Daniel praying? Well, he's praying because he's upset that Jerusalem, his city, is still in ruins, and he knows that there's a Bible prophecy earlier written from the book of Jeremiah that said that after 70 years it would be rebuilt. So he prays this big, beautiful prayer, and it's a good lesson to us that when we have a critical or difficult situation or challenge, that we can pray and good things will happen as a result of it, but we've got to ask. Anyway, he moves from there into this incredible prophecy about what would happen, and that's where the prophecy comes in.
Okay, but you got me intrigued here. The Bible makes various time predictions, and it nails it to the very year. It said there, what's this, 70 years?
Yes, 70 years. Jeremiah was a prophet about the same time as Daniel, and he says the 70 years because the Israelites had not been keeping the Sabbath for the previous 490 years.
Okay.
Now, of course...
What's this Sabbath?
Yeah, we think of it as we have a weekly Sabbath, like 6 days and 1 day of rest.
Oh, yeah, that's the Christian Sabbath. Yeah. Okay.
But they had a land Sabbath where they would have 6 years of working the land, and the 7th was a rest for the land. And of course, the Israelites had not wanted to, lose out on an extra year of income.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so
if the farmers have to let the land go.
They wouldn't
for a
have
whole
an
year.
income for 1 year.
Yeah.
And so they thought, oh, we'll get a bit more money if we work this year. And so that had happened for 490 years. The land had had no rest.
Okay.
And so God said, OK, now the land is going to rest for those 70 years of neglect.
Okay. Well, 70 times 7, of course, is 490, and so the land had missed 70 of its Sabbath year rests.
Yeah.
And now it was enjoying the rest.
It was.
Okay, now what did Gabriel tell the angel?
Well, basically, Gabriel told Daniel that he was giving the people a second chance. God was giving the people a second chance. So he was giving them 490 years to basically get their act together.
Okay.
Yep, definitely. And that at the end of this time, something wonderful was going to happen. And I'll read it for you. It's actually in Daniel chapter 9, verse 24. It says, 77s are decreed for your people and your holy city to finish transgression, to put an end to sin, to atone for wickedness, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the holy place. And the conclusion for this is prediction of the Messiah coming. He was going to forgive people of the sins. He was going to be the atonement, and he's their most anointed one.
Okay, and once again, God flaunts his power over time and space. He nails it to the year. 70 years Jerusalem would be destroyed. Another 490 years, Messiah comes. Who's Messiah?
Well, Messiah is the Hebrew word for Christ, and that's the Greek word. So Messiah, Christ, they're the same word in different languages, and they mean the anointed one. So this is the exact same person it's talking about in Daniel chapter 9, and Jesus Christ is the only one who fits this perfectly. So it's an incredible hitting the nail on the head prophecy. It's just amazing.
Yeah, almost 500 years before Christ, Gabriel comes and he says in about 500 years' time, the one, Messiah's coming. But it's even more specific, Marie.
Yeah, it's down to the very year. He starts counting, Daniel says, start counting the land Sabbaths. Yeah. And after 7, the city, Jerusalem, would be rebuilt.
Okay.
And then after that, another 62 weeks, then the Messiah would come. Okay. And as Ben said, Jesus is the only one who could have been the Messiah because he came at that exact time.
I was so excited, almost robbed Ben's point, I think. It's a time prophecy, isn't it?
Well, it's incredible. And here you see that Jesus himself, God injects himself into human world at that point in the form of Jesus Christ, and he fulfills this incredible prophecy, and we have God as we know it, as a saviour. This particular passage is one of the most astounding passages because it's so specific. In fact, many people have given their lives to God and believed in God because of this very passage.
Yeah. It's amazing, but the ministry of Jesus Christ was so time specific. For 3.5 years, half of one period of 7, he ministers. For 3.5 years, the disciples just preach to the Gentile nations, and then it's all over for the Israelis. They lose their city. But Marie, tell us a little bit about the prophecy and its conclusion.
Well, the prophecy concludes, just like you say, the 3.5 years after Jesus died on the cross. And it's exactly just fulfilled.
So he came on time?
Yeah.
He was baptised on time?
He died on time.
Died on time?
Yeah. and rose again, and the Jewish nation finished as the...
Look, it's amazing, it's incredible, it's one of the most powerful thoughts that any human could ever think about, that there is a God beyond time, beyond space. He's able to interact with our world, and yes, you can connect with him, you can contact him even today. How? Through the power of prayer. Why wouldn't anybody want to engage with a God who flaunts his power over time itself and says Jerusalem will be destroyed for specifically 70, and at the right time, in the right way, in the right year, Messiah, only Jesus Christ, would come?